Hello and welcome to the Ant-Man channel. It is Monday the 26th of January 2015 and I'm your host Ant-Man. So thank you for joining me today. It's a beautiful Monday. A day for a new beginning, a day for another fresh portion of God's word, of course, every day. And the news, of course. I got an article of news in front of me from ClashDaily.com. It is titled, What's in a Name? Liberals' Abuse of Language Says a Lot. I don't know why I like to. Some people think like I read from blog spots. Like, what do you read from blog spots? Do you know I actually read from top journalists? It's just that they may not say what you want them to say. I know a lot of the left's media is just a lot of distractions and entertainment and all that, but I actually read off of things that, you know what I mean? Talk about real issues. So this is a good website, man. It's pro-gun, pro-America, pro-God, everything. You must support ClashDaily.com. This is written by Andrew Allen. This was published today. So, what do Warren Wilhelm Jr., Billy Blythe III, Patricia D. Alessandro, and Anne Herring all have in common with Nicole Gachmanowski? Nicole who? Nicole Gachmanowski is a San Diego community organizer. She got her start in 2010 while unemployed, living with her mom and unable to decide whether finding a job or roller derby practice should be her top priority in life. That's right, according to local media, her inability to choose was so debilitating she sometimes never even left her mom's house. One day, though, she took her laptop to a local Occupy rally and started blogging, sometimes swapping from one lap to another as the batteries ran low. So, like any good rabble rouser, she even got arrested once during the Occupy protest. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, the police found her drunk with a male occupier at the local Occupy encampment and busted both of them for public intoxication, among other things. Wow, they must be so focused on whatever they're, protesting. All these protests are like, I think they're done from like within, they're staged, I guess if you want to say. And especially when you see the Guy Fawkes masks. Come on, guys, you guys don't know any better. The Guy Fawkes mask is if you guys ever seen V for Vendetta, that's hardcore, programming right there. Guy Fawkes I think his dad was a 33-degree Freemason, and that guy was doing something that had to do with, hating republics, hating freedom, all that kind of stuff. That's that story. So you're wearing a Guy Fawkes mask, but you think you're doing something good for liberty. You're a hypocrite, because the Occupy movements they don't do any good anyway. Like, what are you even? You know what I mean? I honestly don't get what you guys think you're gonna prove, or what you're gonna do, what you're gonna change by doing that. Especially with the protests going on in Ferguson, those are absolutely the most horrendous things you'll ever see. Just not saying that like, oh, that's so evil. I'm saying like the behavior coming from these people is disgusting, man. You got to be ridiculously low in IQ to be going around and doing these things to your own neighborhoods, all in the name of like what, injustice? What do you know about justice anyways? You know what I mean? It's pretty hypocritical. Like any good rabble rouser anyway, I just read that. So a Star was born, I mean. Cali Cat is what Nicole Gachmanowski goes by nowadays, as her stature continues to rise among California progressives. Whoopee-doo. Yippee, more progressives. Just what we need. Warren Wilhelm Jr. is more commonly known as Mayor Bill de Blasio. Wilhelm just doesn't have the ring to it that de Blasio has. De Blasio sounds softer, smoother, and more sophisticated, really, which name brings to mind the Fuhrer. Wilhelm or de Blasio? New Yorkers wouldn't elect the soft tyranny of a Wilhelm, but readily went for the de Blasio's version. Let's see. Coming from a name like de Blasio, uber regulation of day-to-day life in the Big Apple comes across as more fashionable somehow. Billy Blythe III sounds like a double-dealing, womanizing grifter, the real-life version of the Mr. Haney character of the old television show Green Acres. Mr. Haney was a shamster who used a woe-was-me sales pitch to try and part people, particularly women, with their money. Definitely not the image of a two-term president who remains a formidable force in American politics. It is any wonder Billy Blythe III opted to use the name Bill Clinton. His wife has frequently altered her name too. She doesn't rule Diane Rodham anymore. She's gone by Hillary Rodham Clinton and Hillary Rodham. Briefly, she went solely by Rodham just after she tried Hillary, maybe thinking that a singular name would give her dim prospects. Oprah, sorry. If you got that, that's pretty cool. Like star equality in her pursuit of high office, Hillary was catchier than Diane, and less likely to be confused with a certain NBA star than Rodham. But she's not back to Hillary Clinton, at least for the time being. Whether Hillary Clinton rehearses each name change was a Fox Southern African American accent along the lines of her "I don't feel no ways tied I've traveled too far to get war I'm going stick" remains unknown. It's an interesting mental image. Hillary up late at night in front of a mirror and reciting new and untried variations of her moniker. Nancy Alessandro and Elizabeth Ann Herring haven't taken a fluid an approach with their married names. Pelosi and Warren simply adopted their husbands' surnames. In Elizabeth Warren's case, it's probably fortunate that she was able to drop Herring and replace it with Warren. Elizabeth the Red Herring carries amusing connotations for her agenda. It doesn't stop with personal names: job lock, climate change, sustainable growth, fracking, green energy, the 1%, the 99%, racism, sexism, living wage, reproductive rights, marriage equality, privilege, pro-choice, net neutrality, lone wolves, man-caused disasters, the prophet, Christianists, tolerance, coexist, inclusion, undocumented immigrants, big oil, big pharma, big box retailer, big tobacco. The left's abuse of language knows no bounds. It extends even to how the left describes themselves. I don't know what the whole first part of this whole article was all about. But yeah, man, I mean, I saw the title of this and I was like, you know what, like that makes a lot of sense. They really do try to redefine words these days. But let me just get back into this. Democrat, liberal, socialist, progressive, forward-leaning, centralist, center-left, third way, no labels. If the left can't be trusted to simply be honest with what they call themselves as a movement or as individual public figures, then why should anyone trust them with any matter of substance? I think we're like insane in this country because they've been running things for a long time. And when you look at their history of how they've been running in our country, like the way they've been running our country for the last 100 years, you got to be insane to continue to believe them and to let them run the country the way they do. The whole liberal and progressive way of running our country has failed. There was people like, you got to know stuff about, some of our past presidents that we had 100 years ago, like FDR and stuff, and LBJ, because a lot of the left's philosophies come from these geniuses, and they were really in the back pockets of the feds, and you know what I mean, and a lot of them were just sellouts. I don't think FDR was, but a lot of like ones after him were very easily corrupt. After the Industrial Revolution, it just seems like Americans thought that the traditional way of running our country was just obsolete, it was outdated, but we were wrong for assuming that, because the liberal arts, the way that we try to learn the way that we run our government and in this country, how we run our lives, how we look at our rights, it all went away with how we just totally reconstructed the way that we interpret the Constitution, and that's where we went wrong. We get our rights from God, and if we don't get our rights from God, then we're it's like saying that, you know what, you can make me a slave to anybody when you say that you give up those rights. Because if God's not the master, then a man's a master, and the man is is an evil thing. If a man is not restrained and he's not disciplined and he's not a man of God, he is not to be trusted, man. He's most likely corrupt, and the only way that you'll get by in life is by going along with what he says you have to go along with, or else you die. That's what it usually goes. It goes down to that, pyramids and human sacrifice type deals, man. And that's all we're ever good for, man. And we honestly, we need God to tell us what to do, man, or else, you know what I mean? The founding fathers had that belief that man is evil and that we need to have restraints. We need to make laws to morally restrict us of doing things that are evil, because we're not angels, and we're not governed by angels, so we have to make laws. I hope that that's not too hard to understand. We have to go back to the old way of running our country, or else we're going to lose it. So to be fair, some intrepid surfer will undoubtedly find an example of someone on the right who has altered his or her name. It's far less common right of center than it is among progressives, and it's important to note the distinction between public and private figures who engage in this practice. Public figures are voted into office to serve the people that pay their salaries while they hold their positions. Private figures aren't. Samuel Clemens, for example, was a writer who used the pen name Mark Twain. Roger Nelson is a pop star more commonly known as Prince. Entertainment, not political activity, is their output. It's one thing to be a private figure, offering up entertainment for someone willing to pay for it. One can choose to opt out of Huck Finn or a late-night showing of Purple Rain, after all. It's quite another thing to engage in political activism, especially when taxpayers can opt out of supporting it, designed to fundamentally transform our country and lives. That progressives can't do this under their real names is telling. That's the case whether it's Cali Cat in California or a man who was born Barry Obama and possibly Barry Dunham, considering that his parents separated the month he was born, was later Barry Soetoro, and as an adult he proudly went by Barack Hussein Obama. Hussein, hello, any warning signs going off, by the way? But suddenly dropped Hussein when conservatives used it. For the left, it's all about pretzel twisting the real world to match a very narrow-minded narrative, no matter how illogical and impotent that narrative might be. Ideology informs their ideas, and in their case, it's an ideology that dates back to the 19th century. That's why progressives remain stuck in a world that ceased to exist more than a century ago, and it's how they cast themselves as the personification of the future. Those that proclaim to be wise always end up being a fool. You know why? The progressives think that they're the ones progressing in society when they're living in the past. They think they're the ones that are liberals when they don't let anyone else have rights but themselves. They're hypocrites in all their ways. They're given over to a reprobate mind because of their unbelief. They suppress the truth and unrighteousness because they want to pursue after their own lusts. Is this stuff making sense to you? Well, then God bless you. If it's not, then God bless you too, I guess. Because, you know, man, I hope that you keep listening because maybe you will catch on. Distorting the language, too, helps them avoid intelligible discussion. Things like unemployment pollution, economic stagnation, wealth creation, embracing an all-of-the-above energy policy to include nuclear, that Iran is building nuke plants and America is remarkable. Economic mobility, true equality, women's health, keeping government out of the bedroom, respect for life, accomplishment, unregulated internet, radicalized Islam, our Judeo-Christian heritage, illegal immigrants and industrial base, the value of a robust medical sector to all Americans, affordable shopping options for impoverished Americans and alternatives for tobacco smokers and growers. Intelligible discussion can't happen when idea-starved populist regressives bring their ideological antiques to the public square. So instead, they try and relabel themselves and the public square to make their point of view appear as anything other than what it really is. It's because the left, they're well-meaning. The atheists and all those people, they're well-meaning people, you know what I mean? But they fail to see that their human nature is fallen. So they think they're like, oh, don't tell me I'm evil. I know. I love myself too, more than I ought to. I should love people more than I love me. That's a reality. And now, you know why that is? It's because I'm a man. I'm just a man. I'm fallen, and I love me more than I love you. And that's something that God has to work on me with. But the atheist has to realize this, or he will never understand his true nature and why we have to restrain ourselves, why we have to make these laws attached to God's word, because that's why laws are written. They're moral. They're to, you know, they're based on morals. They're based on, like, you know, the Ten Commandments. They're based on, like, being good and prosperous instead of being stupid and then being subjected to tyranny by the hands of evil people that have power. You know what I mean? There's so much that could be said that goes into that. Or as far left icon Noam Chomsky said, propaganda is a democracy what the bludgeon is to a totalitarian state. There's power in names and in words. The left uses that power, unfortunately, well in bludgeoning Americans with their agenda. It's true, you guys. You know, we're on the same team. There is no left or right paradigm. It's all a scam. we all have to come together and reason with one another and not think of each other as intellectual superiors because that's some Nazi stuff. God bless you.